What's up, weebs, and welcome back to Anime Lane, the podcast where we take you down the yellow brick road of anime and take a look at everything it has to offer. Of course, I am your host, Rebel Notorious, and once again joining me today is Shaun.
Hi.
And Melina.
Hello.
Back from our holidays, as we discussed in
The
last
return
episode.
of the Queen.
The return of the Queen and the
Thank
return
you.
of the Prince.
I don't feel like I'm up there enough, so
I am above
I feel
you.
like I'm a jester at this point.
No. Maybe.
This is just you saying I'm not funny.
I'm saying in this situation, I'm the king.
Okay, so
That sounds
I don't
so
want to
up
be queen.
myself.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is already going off the
can
rails.
we just? I want to be the dragon.
Okay, can we just Thanos?
I'm the Thanos.
So, on today's episode, we're going to be talking about, of course, two titles, as usual. First, well, always say first up, but however I introduce these is not how we're necessarily how we tackle them. So, we're going to be talking about the Landmark. I had a whole idea for how I was going to introduce this, and I've totally fucking blanked.
As we do when we
It's
record.
the movie.
The legendary Mobile Suit Gundam, starting a three-part story arc where we're going to tackle the original movie trilogy released in 1981 to 1982, I believe. I don't know. We'll cover that when we get to part 3. And the wonderfully chaotic, energetic, and colourful Penguin Highway. I don't really know which order we're going to tackle these in. Does anyone have a preference?
We both watched Gundam first.
Yes.
That's how I watched it as well,
I
Yeah.
feel like
which
we
I'm
should start
very
with that.
fucking happy about. I want to say that I watched it first, which we'll
Yeah.
probably get to when we come to Penguin Highway.
Mhm.
So yeah, who wants to open with their thoughts? I feel like we're all kind of in the same camp on this one.
We kind of are, I think.
I'm afraid
Yes. So do we want the history lesson first or later?
I wouldn't mind a history lesson.
A history
yeah,
lesson.
A little history.
Yes.
So-
Let's get context.
Yes, Mobile Suit Gundam started out as a TV series back in 1979, directed by Yoshiyuki Tomino. But due to low ratings, failing toy line, it was cancelled. Originally scheduled to run for 52 episodes, it was cut down to 39, and the production team fought tooth and nail to get that bumped back up to 43 episodes. Though if you're in any country other than Japan, it's actually only 42 because of episode 15 being cut from the international release, which I'll cover at some point, but this is getting a bit breathless.
Mystery for later.
Mystery for later.
Unless you look it up.
Unless you look it up, it's right there on the fucking Wikipedia page.
Anyway.
Which eventually, come the 1980, a year later, work started to turn it into a movie trilogy. This happens fairly often with anime. It was turned into a trilogy of movie compilations, which doesn't quite feel like the right term for these, but we'll get to that later. So yeah, after a couple of years off air in 1985, I believe, Bandai, well actually they bought it over in 93. Bandai bought the toy rights and launched the model kits, and that was wildly successful and has spawned a 40-year franchise, which I'm sure we'll cover in more depth later. This is just a very brief explanation of where we currently are with the movie trilogy, and I'm already out of breath trying to explain all of that.
You want to take a drink there?
I want to take a drink.
Like, sort of relax a little bit.
Yeah.
Take a deep breath.
'Cause that was a very, very nice and concise history lesson.
Gundam is my area of expertise. I've done so much I've watched most of it at this point, and I've
Built
read
some
a
of the
lot about it.
models.
Built some of the models. I have the original RX 178-2, which is the one featured in this. And yeah,
That's the white one.
that's the white, blue, and red, and yellow.
They call it the white one.
Yeah.
in
the white one in the
so-
movie is not even the main color, I
No,
would say.
It was very confusing for me. I was
Yeah.
It's
I-
confusing as well because there's they call it the white one and there's also a white base.
watching-
Yeah, that was what always got me, is did they call it the white one because of the white base, which isn't even called white base, that's just what the Xeon call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's actually called the Argama.
Ah.
That's the actual... Is it the Argama in this one? Or is that the one
I
from
don't
Zeta?
remember that word.
Recall hearing that one.
No, it is just called white base, and
Oh,
Okay.
and the original Gundam. Argama is the ship from
It just
Zeta
kind of
Gundam.
makes it sound like the white base gave birth to the white, you know?
Yeah,
The
I get
heir
that.
to the white base, the white one.
The white one, yes. Yeah, who wants to kick it off with their thoughts? Sorry, that was my pop filter.
We'll ignore that.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't know because.
I have some thoughts.
Okay, you should start then.
Mm.
It's the thing that bothered me the most is that the length of the movie was pretty long,
Mm-hmm.
and the pacing was so incredibly slow, which makes sense in context because it's a compilation, but boy is it difficult to sit through this.
Actually, the pacing isn't really because it's a compilation. It's because that's just the fucking pacing in the original show
It
for
is.
those set of episodes that this adapts.
Okay.
Because when we decided to tackle this or cover it on the show, it wasn't until like right before we started watching them that I looked into it and was like, I've seen the TV series, but I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know what episodes each one covers. So I done a quick look into it and seen for this one it covers the first 13, and my heart fucking sank because they're like easily like the lower
The
part of the
worst.
series. Because this part is very kind of villain of the week, which a lot of gets cut out, so
Oh,
you're saved from a lot in this this version. It very much distills down just to the main story. My problem is that a lot of the side characters so far just have no character development
Yeah.
whatsoever.
Fully true.
I
Yeah.
can barely remember most of the names.
Yeah, that's, I don't know if it'll improve in the second one for the side characters.
Hope so.
I know the story improves, but whether they keep all the character development, I'm not 100% sure. But like, and this one, and definitely in 2, Ryu, the kind of test pilot guy that takes up the gun tank.
Yeah, I know him. I can
The big
see him
guy.
In my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I didn't want to say the fat
big
guy.
Yeah.
But
He's like very important for like the first half of the series, and so far he's just like in a couple of scenes, and
Yeah.
that kind of bothered me.
Yeah, it felt like he was being put in a very big responsibility. I was like, what the fuck is
Yeah.
this guy? Like, why should I care? You haven't told me why I should
Yeah,
care.
it's the
He
same
can go
with
here.
it's the same with like the guy who pilots the gun tank with him, Hayato, like the kind of short one.
Yeah.
He's in like 3 scenes or something. You also have Kai Shiden, who's another important character who you see get on the white base, and then you just kind of see him there, and that's
He's like-
the extent of it.
I want to say the purple-haired prick, but that describes multiple characters.
Yeah, I need a description here.
He's the one that pilots the other gun. Is it the gun cannon?
Oh, I think that's
He's the whiny
prick
little-
with-
I think I know because I remember the name
Yeah.
for reasons I'll go into
Mm.
because we'll get to that.
Because he's the one that when Frau and Sayla go to like find survivors
that the
before they
blonde
leave,
girl?
he's the one. Sayla's the blonde girl.
Okay, because I had no idea what her name was.
Yeah,
throughout this entire
Sayla,
movie.
Sayla Mass. It is mentioned, but like I said,
Yeah,
a lot of the
they
side characters
Yeah.
just kind of, if they're not Amuro or Frau
Yeah.
or Bright to a certain extent, the movie does not care about them. Or Char as well.
Garma.
Garma.
Like Garma.
I was kind of worried that they would cut Garma's storyline like right down to its bare bones, but like they kept most of it in, thankfully, because he's kind of important to the Zeon's like driving force for the
Yeah,
rest of the
I-
story.
Yeah, they end on that.
Yeah,
like-
which was like when I was watching it, I was like, oh yeah, they did just like hold back on the entire thing of Zeon until the first like quarter of the series. It's not until you get to that end part where it's like, oh, they're space Nazis.
Yeah, like at first I heard Xeon, like, oh, Zionist, man. Oh, never mind. I know what it is.
yeah.
No, not quite.
Yeah.
I did notice like their uniforms are very like I want to say Germanic, but like very
yeah.
exaggerated. Like they've
Uh-huh.
got falcons on like their
Yeah,
chests and all that.
it's very kind of feels not Nazi, but
I was gonna say more World War One.
yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah,
the kind of
yeah.
imperialistic
Yeah.
German forces attire.
So you could sort of be like, they're maybe space Nazis, but there could be like nuance maybe. And then at the end they're like, no, Sieg Zeon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the trouble of the original series, is that it lacks a slight touch of nuance when it comes to the Zeon and stuff. It's not really until, you know, it became successful and you had spin-offs and sequels and stuff that kind of eventually was able to build on the Zeon and
Make it a
obviously
bit more grey.
yeah, and make them a bit more kind of, you get why they are
The way they are.
a little bit. That's a whole thing for if we ever cover the origin, though. That covers Char's backstory.
I feel like that's going to be a while away.
That'll probably be a while away. But yeah, it's a hard one that I'm not sure how to talk about because I feel like I'm likely to stray into the story contents of Further Beyond.
Because I understand wanting to defend it from your perspective.
Oh, I'm not gonna defend this one. Like, holy, I love Gundam. The first series isn't my favorite, but I like the second half of the series. This one wholly just shows a lot of the flaws, I think, that I like. Even cutting out a lot of the villain of the week stuff, this isn't the strongest part of the series. It leaves a lot on the table to be explained and just kind of expects you to be like, go along with stuff for a long time.
Fine. Just accept it and move on. I'm like, no.
I want explanations. I want more like meat here.
This is a kind of common thing I'd say with Gundam, is that at least every Gundam directed by Tomino, the original creator, is that you kind of watch it for the first 9 to 15 episodes, and he focuses more on building the main characters, which I can understand, but you also need an equal amount of world building for the context of those characters to kind of keep going along with the story, so it can make any series that he, handles for Gundam, watching it a bit of a slog to get through at the start. And I think that's how you described
It really was, because even like just as like I was watching it, I was like, okay, this is starting to feel like a bit slow. How long is this movie? 2 hours?
Yeah.
Oh no.
The next two are slightly longer.
Oh god.
Encounters in Space, the second film's only like a couple of minutes longer, but I think
If it's more interesting, then I'm not gonna care.
yeah, Soldiers of Sorrow is the second one. Encounters in Space is like 20 odd minutes longer, but that's when like everything's
Things happen.
yes,
The
it
climax.
reaches what you would probably more feel familiar with from how I talk
Describe
about
it, yeah.
Gundam, and sort of you'll probably see why I like the series once we get to that. Even if you guys don't enjoy it, you'll probably go like, yeah, I get,
understand.
At
yeah,
least appreciate it.
or you'll at least know by me why I like it, because we've covered a bunch of stuff on sci-fi here on the show before, because that's my bread and butter, I guess.
Yeah.
I was a little disappointed by this one, I can't lie. My first time kind of revisiting the original series, and not the best experience.
Not really, no.
I don't feel like we can say much. How did you guys find Char? I know like it doesn't give him much character yet.
I like him as a character. Like, the biggest thing that I didn't like about it, because he's one in the Red Comet.
Yeah.
They fought like 4 times.
Char and Amuro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is too much for one movie. You can have one where he obviously fails, like Amuro, and then have an end battle where he wins. That's fine. That's normal storytelling. Having 4 battles that end almost the same gets very tired.
I think that problem should not occur again, because he'll be there, but he'll disappear for a bit in the coming movies, as it kind of goes more into his backstory and his motivations and stuff, because it kind of hints at it with what happens with Garma when he kind of sacrifices him to the white base. The movie doesn't kind of leave you much information.
No.
It does a whole lot of these kind of like name drops and hints and stuff that's to come later, but never explains any of it. So like, if someone just watched this one, I'd absolutely understand why they didn't want to continue. You get like 40 minutes, or not even that, like maybe 30 minutes from the end, and it's like new types. And anyone who hasn't seen Gundam before is just like, what the fuck is a new type?
Yeah, I legitimately had to ask you what that was.
And I just had to go, it'll get explained later, because I can't explain them now, because it'll be too much of a spoiler, because that's sort of the crux of the series later on. I think this maybe would have been more of a challenge if we had picked the TV series. Like,
yeah.
But there maybe would have been more fun things to discuss if we had, because obviously it fell
Double-edged sword.
Double-edged sword, yeah. Like the original TV series is slightly a slog because it's less focused, because it had an episode count to fill. It had to fulfill the requirements of a toy producer being on the production committee and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, double-edged sword. This is like probably the best way to experience this portion of the story. It's just that it's not a great portion of the story.
Great,
no, absolutely not. I think I rated this like a 6 out of 10.
That
like
sounds about right.
It's on
best.
Because going by like, so the way my anime list does it is that like 10's a masterpiece, 9 is great, 8 is very good, 7 is good, 6 is fine, 5 is average, and 4 and below are kind of the bad end.
Okay.
6 is fine. Like it's
Okay.
fine, but it's not.
It's not the worst.
No,
but it's not
it's
the
not
best.
the best, and I wouldn't put it in average either. Animation's a bit wonky. I'm not sure if you noticed that the Gundam's proportions get a bit iffy a lot of the time.
I was like, how big is this thing supposed to be?
Yeah, that's a lot of the memes around the original series, is that like they just could not keep the proportions
It's like the movie
whatsoever.
Cats that has the same issue, but it's more jarring there. Because at least, when you have an object in space, you don't have dimensions. You don't know how close or how far away you
Yeah.
are. Cats.
Yeah, I wonder if I can find quickly like one of the Gundam wide boy.
I didn't want to make this joke, by the way, but every time like I sort of noticed that I could hear the Transformers noise in my head.
Yeah.
And that's the only Transformers joke I'm making, I promise.
Because there were times where they were fighting in space, but they kind of were animated to look like they were standing on something. And I was like, he's just a boy. He's just
Yeah.
standing in the empty space.
It becomes a bit better, like, and Zeta has a much higher production value.
Good.
Wait, I clicked open image. Oh, there he is.
Oh, that's a wide
He
boy.
is
wide
wide.
boy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for any listeners who can't currently see this, but if you literally just look up wide Gundam meme, it's like the third
For
or
us, it's
fourth
like
image.
the fourth image on here. Yeah, he is.
And
a
then you
wide
have-
boy.
Oh.
That's the Gundam version of Wilson Fisk right there.
Yeah. So the proportions can get a little bit fucked here and there. It's especially noticeable when like he has to move in like a 3-dimensional way. But it's like the late 70s, so
Yeah, I forgave it.
Yeah, I
because
think-
I just knew it was the time.
you kind of have to take Gundam as a product of its time. Like a lot of the time, it's like competent. Then there's some times where the pitfalls of the era show up.
Yeah.
Once it kind of hits the 80s and production values kind of went up a little bit, things became a bit more solidified.
Yeah. I will say in terms of just like the art, the parts I usually did like were like the more dynamic drawings when like an explosion happened or like a battle came up. I liked those.
That's something I'll always give Gundam, is that it's always had nice explosions.
Yeah.
Like that got me through quite a lot of Zeta, because not to like put off Zeta or anything like that, it's fucking depressing. Like
Oh boy.
it's heavy, it's dark. It's like a response to kind of how a lot of the earlier episodes of Gundam were a bit cheesy, a bit villain of the week.
I mean,
So
to be fair, it feels like from what we were getting in this one, they do sort of delve into like sort of darker elements.
Yeah.
'cause
it does
feels
get
like, I've forgotten his name.
Char?
No, the main character.
Oh, Amuro.
Amuro.
They yell it so much.
I know, but like
Amuro!
Penguin like Highway has like a similar named main character.
Aoyama.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so like they got confused. But like he has, by the end of it, he's got very much got PTSD.
Oh yeah.
This is the
'Cause
thing
is
is
he 15?
he's 15.
He's definitely
This
a
is
child.
too much pressure for a boy.
This is a very common thing in Gundam, as kids just being thrust into this. I think I started Victory Gundam, which takes place way further in the Universal Century timeline that we're currently watching, and I think Uso is like 12.
Oh. I mean,
Like,
you go.
I understand if a kid watches it, you're like, I'm 10, they're 15, they're so mature. And then we're watching this as,
That's-
early 20s, and we're like, this is a
no.
child.
It's not even like because it's a kid's show. It's like it's very much an intentional thing from Tomino. Is like he wanted to show like the horrors of war, because he grew up post World War. Well, I have a feeling he probably grew up during World
Yeah,
War
I mean,
II.
if he's how old that I'm imagining he was when he
Yeah.
made this, that would fit about right, I want to say.
I forget how old he is. I think he's 18.
Born
63.
1941.
41. So he
41.
like was tail end. He'll very much know the experience of like
Yeah, yeah.
post World War II.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of like he's one of the directors to come out of that wave of like anti-war and to kind of want to
Yeah.
tackle the horrors of it.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
you see it a little bit here.
Yes.
It kind of cuts off at where this story arc for Amuro and his kind of PTSD like stuff kind of comes to a head. Which is literally the first episode that the next one will adapt.
Fantastic. We're going to open up the second one, and he's like, oh god, I can't do this. To which he'll be slapped 5 times.
Yeah, that'll persist like till about halfway through the next movie, I think.
Great.
But like I said, stuff happens and things get a bit more focused than they currently are as well, because it's a bit all over the place with subplots and stuff like that. Yeah, other than kind of saying, oh, this will come up later, like I feel like I'm going in circles with that. So
Yeah.
I feel like this will be a more interesting discussion once we've seen Soldiers of Sorrow, where things very much kind of pick up story-wise for the series. Like I think you said it best, is that this might be a movie, but it's very much the first act.
I was literally
something.
just
Yeah.
about to say, this is a 2-hour long act 1 in a way that sort of reminds me of like the first Mad Max movie, but even the first Mad Max movie felt like it was a full movie.
Yeah, because like I think the weirdest thing for me is that you get to a very kind of natural stopping point when they've had a conversation about the new types, and like there's a section there that you can cut out. It's straight after that they introduce Rambaral, and then he fights Amuro, and suddenly you have the speech with Jiren Zabi, Garma's older brother, I believe. Because there's like 5 kids, and then you have like the head of the Zabi family.
Yeah, there's
whose
like
name I forget.
there's a thick boy.
That's
Yeah.
Dozel.
Remember the thick boy?
Yeah, that's Dozel.
The
Okay.
sister.
Yeah, there's the sister.
That's
At one point I wasn't sure if that was like the sister or the mum.
I think
Yeah.
that's Kycilia, the sister.
Yeah.
Because Garma brings her up quite a lot, I think.
Yeah, because he says I want to prove myself to
Yeah,
my
Yeah,
sister.
I don't think he specifically names her.
No,
yet.
he just says my sister.
Yeah.
And then there's like the one who looks more like Garma but older and like sort of taller.
I think that's Jiren, yeah.
Okay. I'm interested to see where that goes.
Yeah. It kind of leaves, like I says, a lot on the table for that whole
Yeah.
thing, because like in Soldier of Sorrow, that'll start actually going into their family dynamic and the story that happens with them.
Okay.
So that will be running kind of counter to what we're seeing with Amuro and the White Base, which is a good dynamic because you have more than just, we need to leave this space colony.
Yeah.
Okay, we've left the space colony. Well, we need to go to the moon. Okay, well, we're at the moon. Okay, well, we need to go to Earth now. Okay, well, we're on Earth, but we're not where we're supposed to be. Okay, well, we need to go where we're supposed to be.
This is now
it's a
suddenly
lot.
reminding me of like, not like just Star Wars in general, like specifically like The Last Jedi when they have a whole plot dedicated to the rebels just moving
Yeah, you're right.
to like,
Oh.
I think it's Krayt is the planet,
Mm.
and even then right after that they leave then anyway.
Yeah.
Except this movie does it like 3 times,
Mm.
whereas Last Jedi was like 1 time only.
The
Until, like,
best
the very end.
The best comparison I could think of for the first Gundam movie is Are We There Yet?
I haven't seen it.
Where
I've
it's going
heard
through a bunch of
great
motions,
things.
but we
Yeah.
haven't reached any destination.
Yeah, we're not there yet.
No, it's
No.
just basically moving between a bunch of different locations with some light story
Yeah.
stuff happening.
Get to the point already.
I'm very sad about some of the kind of translations in this version, though. And
Even
I don't know if it's because
I felt like I could feel that like
Yeah.
some things weren't quite as right.
Yeah.
I don't think anything's necessarily wrong, but it's like I think a lot of people attribute the more iconic lines of Gundam to the fan subs because that's what people had for a long time. And so you have stuff like the battle between Amuro and Rambaral, who's in the goof. Some of the mech names are fucking hilarious.
I'm
in
imagining
this.
a giant robot Goofy.
There's one later called Big Zam.
Hell yeah! I want to see Big Zam.
It's as
fuck,
dumb
yeah.
as you probably think.
I love it.
Like I said, they have to fulfill a certain amount of toy quotas.
Big Zam.
So you have him appearing, and he's like, I think in this one he's like, oh, this isn't your average Zaku or something like that. But in like it's very kind of okay. But in the the subtitles that I remember watching, it was like, this is no mere Zaku boy, and it has so much more oomph to it. So yeah, other than a few issues like that, it's fine. Yeah, not one I'd return to, I don't think. I think if I were to watch this, if I were to come back to Gundam again, I'd probably prefer watching the series again, because character development. I kind of miss the villain of the week at this point. I hated it when I was watching it originally, but now I'm kind of like,
you don't know what you had.
I don't know what I had until it was gone. I feel like we kind of want to move on though.
There's one thing I do want to bring up, because I've written down a counter for the amount of fucking slaps in this movie.
Oh, that's yeah.
Because by the third one, well, you already told me, like, as I was watching it, like, oh, this happens quite a bit in this one.
This is a recurring thing, not just in this one. This happens in Zeta as well.
Oh, fantastic. So I started
Keep
a
the
slap
counter
count.
going.
I started a slap count after, like, the third one. There are 6 slaps in total in this movie.
Oh, that's a drop in the bucket.
And there's one, like, sort of gun stop hit, but, like, that's sort of, like, not as impactful. Because it's, like, it happens to, like, the mum when, like, she's hiding him in the bed, and Soldier sort of does it, but it's not given any, like, focus.
Yeah.
But I counted it anyway. And I've like subdivided them into who gives what a slap. So we've got one slap from Amuro to Frau, who I keep calling Frau, by the way, because that's how it's spelled.
Yeah,
it bothers me to say Frau.
Frau Bo, yeah.
It's
just an odd one.
It's German for woman.
Yeah.
And then I feel like I'm just calling her a woman.
Yeah. It's kind of written as Frau Bau. Frau.
I just said Fraba.
Fraba. Yeah.
Fraba.
I'm going by like how they pronounce it in the film, which is Frau. Yeah.
I try to do that, but like when I'm reading the subtitles, my own voice overwrites that, which is why I'm so terrible with names.
See, I've hit a point where like I read subtitles to understand it, but I'm only parsing them and like picking up the words I don't understand. That's so fucking bad. Anyway,
trying your best.
Yeah.
But yeah, one to Amuro to Frau, which was even more fucked up because that was right after she saw like her mum and granddad died.
Yeah.
Contextually, I sort of get his like, not why he did it, but like kind of the situation. I get that he was trying to push her to like
snap out of
leave.
It sort of thing,
yeah.
But like.
Yeah, he could have done something else.
You're just, snap your fingers in
yeah,
face.
that's what I
Yeah.
was thinking you would do. 1, 2, I've got here blonde girl to Kai.
Sailor to Kai.
Yeah, when he's like going into like the base. 2 from Bright to Amuro.
Yeah, that's
which happened like back to back, I think.
I feel like that's way less than actually happens in the first 13 episodes as well.
Oh, cool. This is the censored
Because
version,
funnily enough, it's known as the Bright Slap. Because he's usually the one doling it out.
I shouldn't laugh at that. One from, I couldn't remember how to spell her name, but so I put Icelandia.
Oh, Iselina.
Iselina, yeah.
Close enough.
I literally put Icelandia. In brackets or whatever.
Iselina, who I forgot existed and has like Garma's whole thing. And I'm watching it and I'm going, oh yeah, she exists.
Yeah. They focus on her as well.
They do, and she's got like a full episode in the original series, and I'm like, yeah, they just do not give a fuck after the original series about her.
Okay, we've got our designated princess character. Let's just go.
She'll be important in the next movie.
I figured.
Like she'll come back up again, but then it just won't. Like she'll not be there again.
Yeah, she was dating Garma.
Garma, she was
Garma. Well,
Garma's.
she was gonna be his fiance.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were half engaged, maybe.
They had a whole thing where like
it was like from what I got, like a secret sort of.
Yeah, because the Zabbies probably wouldn't agree to it because she's a commoner, I think, or because she's from Earth.
I think that was it. Cause she's
probably a bit of both.
I mean, she seemed pretty like high class to me.
Yeah, exactly. She seemed important.
Yeah,
but compared to the Zabbies, who are
yeah, like they've
people.
got. I mean, the Sovereign guy's got like a fucking cape and
shit.
Yeah.
And her dad is very much like anti-Zeon, so like that. Yeah,
doesn't help.
No,
which is why he slaps her, which is like the 5th slap.
Yeah.
And then the final one is it Ryu or like Ryu? Or Ryu to Amuro, and that's the final slap.
So I don't know what kanji they use to spell his name, but I feel like I need to bring this up.
Go ahead.
Ryu is the Japanese word for dragon, which is not anything close to how I would describe Ryu.
No.
In this.
No.
I've met many characters throughout my time with Japanese media called Ryu.
Of course.
Primarily the Yakuza franchise.
Okay. I was thinking Street Fighter. That's the one that.
And there's also Street Fighter, and all of them are closer. To their namesake.
Yeah, because they're usually like action characters.
Yeah, Ryu is just kind of there.
He a boy.
He's surely a boy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd pat him on the back. I'd hang out with him for a bit, but you know.
Yeah, I feel like
Ryu doesn't seem like a battle comrade.
No, I feel like is Ryu like 23, 24?
You said he was the oldest.
He's the oldest of the crew.
Way off.
Yeah. He's the oldest. Bright is 19. The captain of the guy who gets made captain at the end of the film.
Yeah, 19.
19.
I was shocked too.
Obviously, most of the people who now work on the bridge of this military class vessel are like 15.
I love how like some official came over and like, well, you've handled yourself pretty well so far, so continue. They're like, we're children.
Yeah, like
help.
I was when we bring it up earlier about Amuro being 15 and stuff. Like the only like real adult there is like bedridden, and he's like, well, they've used child soldiers. Why don't we?
This is the weird thing. Bright gets made captain.
Okay.
The captain kind of disappears.
I was wondering where he went. Yeah.
I think he's dead.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they just did not include his death scene.
I was pretty sure that like by the end of the movie, did that guy die?
I'm almost certain he's dead at this point.
Yeah. Also, where's Amuro's dad?
Oh, Amuro's dad. So at the beginning of the movie,
one of my notes is legit. Where dad?
I legit like forgot he existed.
So in the beginning of the movie, when Amuro first pilots the Gundam and he destroys the first Zaku, which blows a hole in the colony, his dad's one of the people that gets sucked out. Now I can confirm he's not dead.
Oh,
okay, cool.
Because I think I was halfway through and I was like, we haven't seen his dad in a while. And so I just kind of appointed a guy to be the dad. I was like, I think that's him.
Nah.
You are father now.
He'll come back up later, I think.
Yeah, I got that vibe from when he like met like his mom.
Yeah.
Again, but
yeah.
It's a story for another
time. Yeah, so that was Mobile Suit Gundam 1 because it doesn't have a subtitle, annoyingly.
Yeah.
It also had the same issue that Mystery of Mamu had for me, where in the end there's too many flashing screens to the point of nausea.
Yeah.
Which is a product of its time, I suppose, a bit.
No, because I was also surprised by this.
It was legit. At some point, I just kind of turned my laptop.
Yeah.
I was like, if I miss it, I miss it, and I'm just gonna accept that.
That kind of caught me off guard as well, because like I said when we watched Mamo, I was like, yeah, the Blu-ray had like a warning. Nothing on this.
Fantastic.
Which actually, speaking of the Blu-ray, brings me to another point I wanted to bring up. So you guys watched this on Netflix, and I watched this on my Blu-ray. And I put on the Blu-ray and had this entire moment of, oh fuck, I may have asked you to watch the wrong version. Because I forgot that for, I think, the original DVD release, they re-recorded all of the audio for the like surround sound mix. So the narrator, all the main characters, and all the sound effects, well, mainly the character and narrators, all sound older. Because it was recorded in the 90s, so like 20 years later.
Oh, the same people as well.
The same people.
Oh, okay.
And obviously the sound effects, I think, in this one have like a very kind of certain sci-fi sound to them. But from what I heard of the kind of beginning of the movie, they sound far more realistic, which just seems odd when you're watching it. So I had to quickly like jump onto Netflix and be like, what fucking version does it have? And it just says Japanese original, and it doesn't mention 5.1, which usually Netflix indicates if it has.
I've seen that before.
So I was like, oh, thank God. And then I tested it and was like, yeah, this is the narrator that I'm used to. Because it was the narrator that kind of made me notice something was off. I'm sitting watching it and I'm like, this is not the iconic voice I'm used to. And I'm like, the music sounds odd as well. And I'm like, oh, these sound effects sound weird.
Oh no.
And then I switched to the stereo one and I'm like, oh, quickly Googled. Yeah, they did re-record it all. So that was a quick moment of, shit, I may have made you watch an even more inferior product than we already did. So yeah, that was Mobile Suit Gundam 1.
Yeah.
Come back in a month for Soldiers of Sorrow, the second one, and then obviously the month after we'll cover Encounters in Space, the third movie. So yeah. Penguins. Cue the clip of Benedict Cumberbatch not being able to say the word penguin.
Penguin.
Is penguins. Crested penguins. Parent penguin heading home. So why are these woodlands so attractive to penguins?
Penguin.
That clip of Benedict Cumberbatch has made me so insecure about this fucking word.
Penguin.
That I will just not say it.
Penguin.
Because it's like...
Pinging.
To me, I would just say penguin. But that's not it. Penguin.
Penguin.
Is it pin?
Pang.
Pang.
As in, oh, I'm not gonna... I was gonna say, like, when they're like, oh yeah, that bird looks pang.
Ah, dude. Well, you've said it now.
Yeah.
You've done it. Oh.
At least you had a disclaimer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I almost said it directly to Melina. I was like, no.
That's like the worst possible thing to do.
So yeah, Penguin Highway.
Yeah. Fun movie.
Fun
very
movie.
refreshing after having seen
Yeah, that was what I was like.
I needed that.
You should have told us, watch this first, and then that. Because I just kind of automatically went, I think I'll enjoy Gundam less, so I'll just watch it first.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, but I had a feeling of like, just sort of, I guess, like, what type of stories they were. I mean, I didn't know what the story of Penguin Highway would be, but judging by the title, I was like, this is going to be at least more lighthearted.
Yeah.
So I'll watch it last.
Because I watched Gundam first as well, because I was like, this has a slightly heavier story, so I'll just watch Penguin Highway at night. I was very happy with that. It was so refreshing,
nice.
coming off the back of Gundam. Yeah, so who wants to... I feel like I got to go last, because I've obviously...
Yeah. So, overall, good movie. I enjoyed it. I had a good time. I was a bit confused.
Yeah,
by,
which
like, the end of it.
you messaged me while I was at work and was just like...
I didn't realize you were at work, by the way. If I'd known that, I wouldn't.
Because you're just like, I'm really confused, and I'm like, I don't know what part of the movie you're at, and he's like, it's over, and I'm like, well, I don't know what to say, so I need more than that.
I was just sort of sitting there by the end, like, I had a lot of fun, but I didn't really understand like what was happening by the end. Which I know is like going into it, that's sort of the point. It's supposed to be up to your interpretation, and I've got some sort of like interpretations already. I think I'd need to watch it like a few more times to get that solidified.
Yeah.
But I forgot where I was going with this. Overall, very fun movie. Enjoy it. We'll definitely watch again.
Nice.
Because it's just it had so many good vibes.
It's a good vibe movie.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's one of those movies I can just put on randomly at night and just feel nice going to sleep to.
Yeah.
When I enter the penguin zone.
The penguin zone. Melina?
I thought it was very enjoyable. It has its moments where you're like, you're saying this all makes sense. I've understood everything, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Look, I've seen this movie.
12? He's 10. Like,
yeah,
10.
He's 10,
on
12.
the cusp of like puberty, which is like the whole theme of the movie.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like 10 is very low still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a different perspective on puberty. But
Yeah.
I'd say he's kind of right around kind of the right age for it to start.
Yeah, I was
like,
Yeah,
I
he's
kept
a
thinking
little
like I'm
too open about it.
I mean, from where it started, he says he's in the 4th grade at like the start, but then we go for a summer holiday.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
he
he's
keeps
about
saying-
11, I want to say.
Yeah.
Ish. Still, he's very open about it. And I know we
Yeah.
hear his internal monologue.
No, but we hear his external
hear it.
monologue a lot.
Oh yeah.
And he's very open.
Yeah, but
about
like
his feelings.
for his character, that does make sense because he kind of just does not have a filter, whatsoever.
Which I did like.
Yeah,
He's a very intelligent kid, but like when it comes to actually interacting, it's that whole trope of he's a fucking idiot.
yeah,
He's a
comes to
fucking
that.
idiot and kind of an asshole, but in a nice way.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like instead of like a Sheldon Cooper kind of character, I can tolerate him. A
yeah.
lot more.
He may be an asshole, but he's got like good intentions at heart.
And he does something very rare for these kind of characters. He's able to fucking recognize
Yeah,
when he's being an asshole.
Yeah.
I said that really weirdly.
you
sorry.
did ass.
I wanted to say arse, and then like
Arse.
halfway through, I said ass. So I said asshole.
Asshole.
Like a BBC 50s presenter. But yeah, he's able to recognize that, and he even apologizes a few times, like right after. So he's also slightly emotionally intelligent.
Yeah, and that's
Slightly.
kind of the thrust of the movie is, coming of age story is how I kind of put it. Because like when I...
In a very unique way.
Yeah, because I've seen this is my second time watching the movie, and I have to admit that like when I came back to watching it, I remembered very little. I actually, when I described the plot to you guys when we were picking the films, that was the extent that I remembered.
Which legit was, penguins show up. He tries to figure out where they come
What
from.
they do, why they here.
And then I started watching it and was like, oh yeah, the lady.
Yeah,
she makes the penguins.
The alien.
The,
lady, not quite though. She's like a
cosmic being?
Cosmic being.
She's like a lore
Celestial.
god.
She's like the god of the little birds.
The goddess of penguins.
Yeah.
I can incorporate that into my belief system.
Yeah, sure.
I shall worship.
I mean, you've seen her army.
Yes.
Oh god.
I would not mind being rushed by a group of penguins like that.
I mean, if I was gonna die,
That's a good
there
one.
are worse ways to go.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's so fluffy. Hey, at least you get a cool like ride with like because they can pick you up and like just sort of take you to whatever the fuck the penguin zone is.
I have to say that like part of the movie where she like summons all of them. It's like it's just my favorite part of the movie.
Best part.
It's
There's
when
so
she
much
does
energy.
the command for them
Yeah,
where they
like-
kind of look left,
Yeah.
right, forward, charge.
I think that might be my favorite part as well.
Yeah.
Because it's done so well.
Yeah, and like the objects around just turning into penguins. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's a great sequence because like they're like casually walking and like things are turning into penguins around them while they're having this nice conversations. Then she does the march thing.
Yeah.
And then it just picks up more and more until they're like going down like what can only be described as a penguin slide
Yeah.
into another dimension. And it's that point I was like, this movie is fucking beautiful.
Yeah. Like,
I'm glad we all enjoyed that moment.
Yeah.
like within the ocean. I suppose they were within.
Yeah, they were in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like a
It's
sort
very-
of wormhole sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's described as a hole in the universe, so I assume it's like, or in time and space more specifically, I think.
Yeah.
So I assume wormhole
Yeah,
type
well,
thing.
that basically describes what I imagine a wormhole
Yeah.
is from what I've heard. I'm not a scientist.
None of us are. You were saying?
Like it was just very visually beautiful. I thought, especially after having seen Gundam, which was just a little less advanced, and you have less of. It still has quality, of course, but this is more high definition quality.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
we're more used to. And you
There's-
can see the small details.
I'd say there's more passion and effort, which is not to say
Yeah.
that Gundam doesn't have passion and effort, but like there's
It's
more obvious.
Yeah, a lot of, like you said, quite a bit of Gundam was more studio mandated than
Yeah.
anything else, and you can tell that from the way it's like made. Whereas this is definitely like a passion project.
Yeah.
You can tell that someone like really put effort into making this. Thought about it, like the setup and everything works very well.
Because it is a scene that once they kind of go into the ocean could have been like easily the worst part of the film to look at, because you have like
A lot of blue.
you have a very big mix of hand animation and 3D objects flying around and swirling around and interacting, and that could have gone very badly. Like the 3D is noticeable, but it's not as jarring as I think it could have been.
Because I noticed from just the opening scene, and I was tempted to say this to you as I was like messaging, but I decided not to. The way I described it was sort of like just the opening like bedroom.
Yeah.
Way that the camera moves, it was like a Little Big Planet opening in a way. I don't know if you've ever played those games.
I've played them slightly. Yeah.
It was that sort of like in terms of like creativity and stuff. I definitely got those vibes.
I love that opening shot because
Yeah,
it's kind of like
it's beautiful, and they come back to it. in
Yeah.
the
yeah
end.
they
It's
look
like
round.
bookended.
It's a nice full circle, especially next after having watched a full first act.
Yeah.
where I was like, finally.
Closure.
Thank God.
Again, it's one of those things where like anime, is a medium that you can do a lot of different things with your camera and stuff like that, but it's not very often that you see the camera moving independent of the animation, and that's why I think that opening shot is as good as it is, because
It feels real.
it feels real. It's got that very kind of slow, okay, so we're in a kid's bedroom, there's
Take
books,
everything in.
there's the kid, he's writing,
Do not look in those books.
do not look in those books, then he falls asleep.
Yeah. going from that again, I love the sort of comedic elements in this movie as well, especially like when it's like they cut out frames to make the movement like funnier, because like from the way he like sleeps, like you see him sort of about to go to sleep and then it just hard cuts to him just asleep.
Yeah, that is a good comedy technique for anime that sorely underutilized, I think, is where you kind of just cut out whole kind of animation sections to hard cut to the punchline essentially.
I feel like hard cuts are generally fair. Like I kind of feel it because they're very hard to do right, because it can be very jarring to have a hard cut. But I think here they just did it right, that it fit
with the tone of like the scenes they were in. Another one that comes to mind is like when he's been given like coffee from like his dad, and like he drinks it up, and then the dad goes, "It's butter," and then it just hard cuts to his face going. You can't see that because we're in a podcast, but like he's just like, oh. Loved that.
Love it. You were confused about specifically the reference of the lady, because she doesn't have a character name.
Yeah.
And you were confused by how Aoyama refers to her.
Because for context, I know the term Oni-san, which is what he calls her, is a term for like. No, that's like. It's actually a term for like older sister.
Yeah, so more commonly it'll be for, well, sister in general.
Yeah.
Well, it is more commonly used for older sister because you've got Imoto for younger sister, but like sister general term.
So I got confused and I was like, wait, so hold on, she doesn't seem like she's his sister, because they don't talk like that at all, and everything else doesn't point to it, but he keeps calling her Oni-san, which I know means sister, so what the fuck's going on here?
So for cultural context, and just for clarification, since, you know, if you haven't seen the movie, but you should have.
Yeah, don't listen to these episodes if you've not seen the movies we're talking about.
Anyway, you may have noticed in the subtitles, I don't know how it's handled in the dub actually, that they leave One-san completely untranslated, just there in the subtitles. And that's, in Japan, if you don't know a person's name, it's common courtesy to use those terms for people. So for a young woman, it would be One-san. For an old woman, it would be Oba-san, which is close to grandmother. Oji-san for old man. Oni-san for like a young man.
I hate that. I know why you went there.
Yeah. I hate uttering the term Oni-san.
It's been cursed.
Yeah, it just makes my skin crawl now. So here, because, you know, she doesn't have a character name, he doesn't know her name, she's just called One-san, and so like I get why they've left it as is in the subtitles, but they could have stuck a translator note up on screen when that was first mentioned, just so it was clear as to why.
Because that's why I thought, like, oh, it's not an endearing term, because they keep saying Oni-san. And I was like, well, if it's a term like dear or sister, they would have told me.
Yeah, and this is another reason why they could have thrown in a translator note, is because it's not just like they translate One, they translate the whole One-san, which is the only honorific to be rendered in the subtitles whatsoever, because Aoyama, when being referred to by the young girl, his classmate Hamamoto, she calls him Aoyama-kun, but that's not in the subtitles, and they just have this there as like a very...
I did notice that as well, like, by the way, when I was watching it, like, she does say kun.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of the, obviously, you know, they just don't get rendered, sorry, they are translated in the fact that they're not there. They're just not there. And that's like kind of the weird part of One-san being left in there with no explanation whatsoever.
It's a choice for sure.
Yeah, and like I get why they made the choice, but I think they could have been clearer. And like I know a lot of like professional translators try to steer away from translator notes, but I think they have their place for situations like this.
I mean, they exist for a reason.
I think it's like you don't want to overuse them because it gets annoying.
Yeah, if you're using it all the time, then that's an issue with
You'll be
you as a
pausing
person translating it.
Yeah.
You'll be pausing the movie a lot just to read the note,
Yeah.
which can break pacing.
Yeah.
This is something you mentioned quickly the first time it's mentioned. Hey, this, and I'll be like, great. Going forward, I'll have a better understanding of what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, because that's the thing with like translator notes are beneficial for mainly cultural things, and that's what this is. It's a cultural thing where that is a term. Sorry, I'm currently fighting back air coming from my lungs.
It's okay.
Where you have the terms that people are referred to in general Japanese life we're not going to know about.
No, we're not Japanese.
No. So, I would have worked here. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Fun movie, though. I really enjoyed this.
Very fun.
Yeah.
Definitely going to go back to it.
Very colourful. Very vibrant.
I love the design of, we keep calling it the Penguin Zone. I don't know the actual name for it.
It doesn't have, well, I guess the ocean, because that's the...
Inside the ocean.
Inside the ocean.
Of world that they're in. It was very much the term I used was like a liminal space. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys know what that means, but I very much felt like a whole sort of alien, but like just sort of out there zone, which was very nice and was absolutely the point, but I just loved experiencing that.
Yeah. Also like how...
A dream world.
Yeah, when they've gone to inside the ocean and they find like the researchers that got caught up in it, they're just kind of in like a very Italian...
It was like Greek town.
I was thinking Greek.
It had like a very certain
like
European aesthetic
the blue
to it.
and the white. I was like, it was a choice. I was expecting more. I don't know if it's also like a Japanese thing maybe in beach towns that they have those colors, but I immediately was like, why the fuck are they in Greece?
It was mainly like, it's when they're in that kind of
the
square type place that's got like the
sort of town.
It's got like
center.
something in the middle. I don't know if it's a fountain or...
I'm thinking of a fountain. But...
Yeah, and I was like, I've seen this in like movies that take place in Italy or...
Kind of the structure of that specific square is very similar to the one from Luca, I noticed.
Oh yeah, I have. Yeah, I've not seen Luca, but I've seen the trailer and I think I know what you're talking about.
It kind of looks like that square with how you come up from the water and everything, but like the colors are of course very different. Not to be a fucking JoJo bro here, but it's very much something from Golden Wind.
Is that a motherfucking JoJo reference?
Is that a motherfucking JoJo reference?
In my Anime Lane episode. How dare you?
It does very much remind me of like parts of where they go. I was going to say Naples, but they kind of travel outside of Naples throughout the series, so I could be misremembering. But like that way that it kind of comes up and you've got the fountain and the square and stuff, it's all very not Japanese at all.
Well, as we're describing this, I'm now thinking again Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, again, I think I've seen this location in various forms of media over the years.
Assassin's Creed is the one that comes to mind because it's not been that long since I had that marathon. I'm still going through it all.
Did either of you stick around for the credits?
I mean, I felt like I wanted to at first, but like I got into that whole conversation with you afterwards, so I kind of just didn't pay attention. And then after that, I was like, no.
You guys disrespected Hikaru Utada.
Well, you didn't tell. If you told me wait for the credits, I would have. But it was like, if
it was a nice song.
It's a good song. Yeah. It's a very good song.
To be fair, right after I watched that movie, I was also going downstairs to watch like another movie with my family, so I couldn't exactly stick around.
Yeah.
Anyway, but.
It's just a very nice kind of ending to the movie because the song's called Good Night, but the main kind of lyrical catch is Goodbye. Yeah, which is...
By the end of this movie, for reasons I can't describe, I was almost in tears.
I cried a couple of times. Yeah. I can't lie.
By the time we were like two-thirds in, I was like, why am I crying?
It was I think it's when they're in the cafe and like she's leaving. I was like
by the time he was like sort of when they were going to like when they were heading towards the seaside as well, that was the thing that sort of got me for some reason.
Oh yeah, when she's like, is that when they're going on the train?
Yeah, and like they want to go on that trip, but like she gets ill.
Yeah.
From what I'm interpreting, she's going farther away from the ocean.
The ocean, which should have been his first indication.
Yeah.
That she was linked to the ocean. But he just kind of ignores that.
Because he's smart, but he's also dense as bricks.
Yeah.
But like when when that was happening, she was on the floor. She was crying, and I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
I no.
Yeah, and before you know, a kid, even though he's a very intelligent kid, seeing a person you'd look up to just fully break down, you're like, oh god, this kid, that's trauma.
Yeah.
And that's a trauma there.
The fact that she wanted to go and like she wanted to see, but she just couldn't.
Yeah.
And it was him
sad.
who had to tell her, it's fine. We could go another time. We don't have to go. And she was like, no, I wanted
to
go.
reach for the screen and hug them both.
It's what gets me right. He's like 11.
Yeah.
His parents
just let him go.
They don't
with
give
her.
a shit.
Yeah, they do not care. He spent several nights with his friends in that forest at the ocean. Yes. He went on a trip with the woman from the dentist.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing, because I was like, yeah, I know, maybe it's, the small town culture, everyone kind of knows each other, but at some point I'm like, yeah, he's in her house. I don't like this.
Yeah, that one freaked me out the most.
I even said, like, I say that scene was great, but when, like, they were going on that trip, I was literally like, can she do that, like, legally?
Is that, do we need a parent's note, maybe?
It's kind of established that she, like, babysits him, but I think taking him to her apartment is, like, a line.
Yeah.
Because I saw that scene again. I was like, oh, this is turning into a different anime altogether.
I was scared.
We have, I don't want to call him an angsty, puberty, almost adult. He's not almost an adult.
No.
But as soon as she fainted, I was like, oh no. Oh no. This is going to turn into something I don't want it to.
He's just sitting there. He's like, boba.
Just breathes heavily, starts drawing.
Which ends up being a nice moment at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
But heavily creepy.
Oh yeah.
It
took a while to get used to that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, again, I guess to address the giant tits in the room.
You can't ignore them.
Can't ignore them.
No.
They're just so prevalent.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they make sure they're prevalent.
Yeah.
So you as a viewer, you're like, I don't want to say understand what he's going through.
That's not where I was going with this whatsoever. Holy shit.
But like, they make sure that it's like animated in a way where you're like, well, he's obsessed for a reason.
Are you okay?
Of anyone to say it, I just didn't expect Melina.
Yeah.
Caught me so off guard.
This was always gonna be like a weird thing to talk about in this episode.
Yeah.
But it has to be mentioned.
It does.
Yeah.
I was gonna tackle it with like a little bit more tact.
No,
Nah.
they don't do it.
No, but to like address kind of this whole thing that we kind of keep
Dancing,
touching back to.
Don't say touching. Don't say touching.
We keep mentioning. We mentioned it's a coming of age story, and like it's framed in the strangest way possible that this could have gone. And like even I say that as someone who has watched a lot of anime, so I'm used to the weirdest shit coming up, and most of it doesn't faze me. But Aoyama is like 11, and he is very much obsessed with this woman's tits.
Literally,
And, like,
the first thing that like you know about him is he's drawing in his research journal, and it's like tits.
He's like, why do I like these
He
tits
is
so much?
analyzing
but
them.
it's at some point he describes to his friend like, they make me feel a certain way, but not my mother's. And I'm like,
I love that. The moment I seen
No.
that scene, I was just thinking of, why would you start a conversation with that? I just sat down.
Who the hell?
but it's so he's thought about it too much.
That friend's reaction is amazing as well.
I don't think that's right.
'Cause, like it's the feeling of, you're in a stage in your life and you're going through puberty soon, but not everyone goes through it at the same pace. So you have moments, I wouldn't call them similar like this, but where you're shocked, like, oh, you don't think like this, or you do and I don't. That's just weird. And just to see him so casually mention this, and the friend's reaction just, what the fuck?
He's like, dude, I don't want to talk about this.
I am a child. You are a child.
Yeah, that's
Something.
Yeah. Can I just say, by the way, the Oni-san confusion only made that way worse in the beginning of the movie, because he's like, sister's tits aren't as good as my mom's. Or the other way around. And I was like, oh, this is going to be one of a really weird movie.
Yeah, because he's
not
like,
the way I like.
Oni-san's breasts make me feel a certain way. but my mums don't, and it's like, oh.
It's like, what kind of anime have I jumped into?
And then like the Hamamoto like fully uses it against him later as you're just obsessed with them, and it's like, huh?
But he admits, so what? I like her boobs.
Yeah, he's like,
I like
he's
her.
like, I can't deny that, but it's not the point here. And I'm like, I'm kind of with the kid on this one.
Terrible answer, first off.
Yes. Like, I love her as a character, Hamamoto. I thought she was adorable.
Yeah.
And she was clearly very intelligent. And I love how they wrote these kids to be intelligent, but everything they did was in a kid-like manner.
Yeah.
They see this giant cosmic bubble there. That's the ocean. I'm like, that's adorable.
Yeah.
Everything about the kids was really sweet.
Yeah.
Even like the little
penguin
sister.
energy.
Yeah.
That was the cutest. I was like, yes, it's the energy from the penguins. Yes,
Penguin energy.
I was like, please keep them Give them a little chocolate.
Yeah, they're very intelligent, but they're also like still written as kids. Like
Which is rare.
Yeah.
It's a very difficult line to balance it, right? Writing kids is the worst thing.
Yeah.
Because you don't want a child to be like, mother, I require sustenance.
Because like
dinner.
Because it's especially like noticeable when Hamamoto reacts to like anything. Like when she reacts to One-san showing up to the ocean, and when what's the bully's name? Suzuki.
Yeah, something along those lines.
When he like tells the researchers about it, she like fully runs up and like slaps him. It's like, I'll never forgive you, and I'm like, that's very much a kid's response to that.
I did not add this to the slap counter. But
You did not add that to slap count, but different movie.
Yeah, exactly. But I was tempted to after
It was a
that.
good slap.
It was a good slap.
It was
He
a
deserved
powerful
it.
slap.
Oh, yeah.
I was for that slap.
Yeah, so
I also liked his redemption near the end.
he
of the
did get a
movie.
very good redemption. Yeah,
It warmed my heart
Mm.
because he's very much still a kid, obviously.
Yeah,
like,
and
he's
like
not a bad person.
no, and
He's
he's
just a bit of a dick.
Yeah, he's clearly just kind of trying to be the funny one,
Yeah.
which is, you know,
I think it's the way he was a bully is a thing that kind of just happens. You kind
Yeah.
of rough around the edges, you know. You want to fight.
There are
hurt
kids
each
that are just
other.
like that.
Yeah.
He was, I thought, for a bully, well written,
yeah,
because it's very easy to go, "Hi, loser."
yeah.
Give me your
'Cause
lunch money.
when it kind of goes through when he kind of goes through his redemption, you kind of get this thing of like, oh, it just ain't that deep.
Yeah,
like he's not a bad person at his core. He's just a kid trying to figure out who he is.
You like doing it in a not so nice way, but
Yeah.
like he's still just a kid.
But that's it. Like some people
How he
end up,
expresses himself.
going down that weird road, and like they'll grow out of it eventually. It doesn't stop the fact that they were an arsehole when they were younger, but you know, not everyone's bound by their past.
Exactly. Forgive, but do not forget.
Yeah. Because, you know, he's trying to learn chess at the end of the movie and everything. Weird part of that, though, is the narration where, like, Aoyama's like, you know, I have the person for me. And it, like, fully focuses on Hamamoto.
Yeah.
But then it makes it clear later that he's talking about One-san again. And I'm like...
that confused me a lot.
like-
Because I was like, so what's the message here?
Yeah.
I thought the message was like, yes, finally we're looking at, you know, possible partners of our own age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like,
Something that
that's
isn't
cute.
quite as creepy.
Yeah, and he's
Yeah.
like, no, I'm fully going to go to space and find that space bitch.
I will find this space bitch, and she
Where
will be
is my
space-
alien wife?
I require space studies.
That was,
I want that as the quote of the episode.
yeah. It's predictable though. I suppose it, like for seconds. I'm like, no, this kid wouldn't. No.
Nah,
With his
he's too
obsession.
obsessed. Yeah.
No. So it makes it. I think for a coming of age story, it's very nice, and I like the final scene with like the police.
The spaceship thing.
Kind of before that, where I always like it when you have like they show the aftermath of it.
Uh-huh.
And
Oh,
they have
like
the
when they're cleaning up the
newscast,
town and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like
cleaning up
that.
the
Yeah.
town.
It's a
I
nice
always-
like closure.
I appreciate it
Mm.
because that's always the biggest question. It's like, who the fuck's gonna clean this up? Like, oh, the Avengers. Oh, they saved the city. It was like, yeah, they destroyed it as well. By then. Just saying.
At the very least, that becomes a plot point in later movies.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy seeing it, and it's a scene that sometimes gets pushed to like, the
Yeah.
end credits. I'm like, no, as much as I like an open ending, I always appreciate something ending on a good note, and I know exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it kind of does end with them adjusting to what happened, and like, because you have Aoyama in the cafe on his own, and then he thinks he sees the penguin. It's just a cat.
Yeah.
And then he finds the
penguin.
The penguin. Yeah, that's what it's called.
Little research vehicle.
The research vehicle, which I wish I knew Morse code, because I'm like, the light was flashing.
Yeah.
I wonder if that means anything.
We could look it up later.
I don't think we could, because I'd need to go through the movie and like go, is that a dot or a dash?
Okay.
But
So,
overall, very good.
Yeah, very good movie.
I'm glad you guys enjoyed it, because I enjoyed it far more watching it again than I remembered enjoying it the first time, and I'm like, fuck, I hope you guys enjoyed this. It's like, I don't need this movie torn to bits.
I may have been confused a little by the end, but I definitely loved the movie. I sent this meme, like, while I was watching, I was like, that Knives Out clip of he's like, it makes no damn sense. Compels me, though.
Yeah. I think that's a good way of summing
Yeah.
the movie up, is that it doesn't really make like a lot of
Just
sense.
ride with it. Be like, yes, of course.
But once
if,
you just
if the ocean's gone, the penguin's gone. Sure.
Yeah.
When you accept the logic of the movie, it's fantastic.
I think also once you kind of accept that it's like very much from the kid's perspective, is that like things making no sense is sort of makes sense. Yeah.
Which lends credit, like, credence? What's the word?
Credence.
Credence, yeah. I don't know why I was going double B there. It sort of lends like credence to that like this is from his perspective.
Yeah.
Like this is sort of a story that he's making, which ties into all that. But that's a whole discussion. I don't think we have time for.
Yeah.
Right
So
now.
I think we've reached a natural conclusion.
Yeah.
One of our shorter episodes, looking at the time count.
Wow, look at us.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How concise of us.
Yeah. So this has been Anime Lane. I've been Rebel Notorious. I've been joined by Shaun and Melina.
Bye bye.
We've been talking about Gundam and Mobile Suit Gundam 1, because I need to make that specification, and Penguin Highway. Both are available from most good UK retailers for the home video release. You can watch Mobile Suit Gundam, the full movie trilogy, on Netflix. Penguin Highway is available from digital purchase and rent services. Unfortunately, not anywhere streaming like for free. But yeah, thank you for listening. I really don't have an outro, and it keeps stumping me every time I do it.
It sounds like you're getting like a natural end.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.